We woke up today probably still incredibly stunned and awed by the president's generosity.
I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate President Trump and Vice President Pence.
I don't know how many times I thank the president. He keeps, stepping in and doing the right thing.
I don't think he really understands the full definition of a warfighter. A warfighter is a profession of arms, and a profession of arms has standards that they have to be held to, and they hold themselves to.
That was Major Matt Goldstein, First Lieutenant Clint Lawrence, and Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher, 3 service members whose war crimes cases prompted the unprecedented intervention of President Trump, eventually leading to the firing of the Navy Secretary Richard Spencer, who you also saw there. Issuing pardons is the legal right of the president, but was it the right thing to do? And what is the impact of the decision President Trump made? I sat down with 3 veterans to discuss.
I'm Colonel Dave LePan, United States Marine Corps retired. I spent 34 years total in the Marine Corps, 3 deployments, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Haiti.
I'm Dr. Kyle-Ann Hunter. I spent over a decade as a Marine Corps officer. I was a Cobra pilot with multiple deployments, and I hold a PhD from the Joseph Corbell School of International Studies.
Commander Kirk Lippold. I was 26-year Navy veteran serving on Aegis guided missile cruisers and destroyers, culminating as the commanding officer of USS Cole when it was attacked by al-Qaeda terrorists.
I want to start with the quote from fired Navy Secretary Richard Spencer in an op-ed. He said, "This was a shocking and unprecedented intervention in a low-level review. It was also a reminder that the president has very little understanding of what it means to be in the military, to fight ethically, or to be governed by a uniform set of rules and practices." Your reaction to that?
So I agree on both points. I think that the president did reach down into the chain of command, into the military personnel system in an unprecedented way. And I think this is the latest example that we've seen from the president that shows that he has very little to no understanding of the military that he professes to love.
And Commander, I'm going to go to you on this. You think the president did the right thing?
I think he did. When I looked at the decision that he made while it was low level, you have to look at how the military justice system was performing that time, and it was absolutely failing. You had to have a prosecutor relieved. The president made it very clear that he was disappointed that the system was not working as it was. He wants to back the troops on the ground. This is very disconcerting in many ways to senior officers. While it is unconventional, what Secretary Spencer said and how he said it was wholly inappropriate. It was actually made him seem very petty after his relief for cause or firing by the president.
And Dr. Hunter, your reaction?
I think one of the things that's very important to continue to think about with this and the precedent that this is setting is the importance of morale and small unit leadership. And rules of engagement are an incredibly, incredibly important system that is put in place for a reason. And the boots on the ground, the individuals that are making that split decision, to take a life or not take a life, to pull a trigger or to not pull a trigger, need to know that those rules are there for a reason and that they mean something. And a intervention that challenges or questions the way that these rules are being enacted, it becomes troubling. It sends some very concerning messages to what is a very, very serious decision.
I want to go to one of the president's tweets. He said, "We train our boys to be killing machines, then prosecute them when they kill."
It was an inappropriate statement. I think when you say something like that, the president is not fully grasping that they are professionals, that they do have a set of standards and rules that they need to follow. And while they are trained to be ruthless killers, they do it within the bounds of those rules and those rules of engagement.
Doctor, I want you to explain to people who don't know what is good order and discipline about why that's so important and why it's so important that you have discipline. And in so many ways, it is that moment when you can shoot or not shoot that the good order and discipline comes to bear.
Absolutely, and I think everybody who's here can speak to real life examples of where this became so important. But in the military, we are expected and we're trained and we are required to do things that often go very counter to human nature. We run towards conflict, we lean into it. And that's not something that's easy. It's not in our normal nature to do it. And so to do it and not devolve into the idea of being a barbarian, that takes a lot of training, but it also requires that there are rules and constraints put in place.
Colonel Penn, you and I were together in Fallujah in 2005 when you were there. And at one point, we were in a convoy, and there was a civilian, an Iraqi civilian, who approached that convoy, and the gunner in one of the Humvees at the .50 caliber weapon opened fire, likely killing that man. Those are those split-second decisions. They might hurt us, so we should hurt them.
In that particular occasion, our convoy was going down the street. Traffic had been stopped. All of a sudden, a vehicle comes approaching around the vehicles that have been stopped. We wonder, what's the intent? It appears to be a threat. The soldier, or the Marine in this case, in the vehicle reacts instantly because he has to. So he took the shot. Again, I believe that the individual was killed. I believe we found out afterward that it was just a driver that decided he didn't want to wait, and he made a bad decision that may have ended his life. But those are the kind of split-second decisions, life or death. And I think that's the key to understanding why good order and discipline. We talk about it, but most people don't understand that.
What effect will this have on our troops going forward? And if you were a commander right now, what would you say to them about what just happened and these pardons?
I would sit there and I would say the president made a decision. It was within his bounds to do so. That is not going to change how we are going to train to do business if we have to go to the tip of the spear and defend this nation. If I'm a commander, I am going to still run my unit to that standard, period. Because I know that I'm operating under the guidelines, and the long view of history is going to support that.
And Dr. Hunter, do you think this will affect troops long term?
One of the things that I really worry about this impacting really on an individual level is the issues around PTSD, moral injury. Did I make the right decision at the time? Coming back from war, having made decisions to pull the trigger is hard. It's something that I have worked through, and I think knowing that rules of engagement are meaningful, knowing that we made the best decisions for ourselves and for the people that are to the left and the right of us, is something we need to continue to have confidence in, and we owe it to those young women and men who are over there right now that they're making the right decisions.
Does it also divide the force? I mean,
yes.
We have different opinions right here. I'm thinking of the SEAL community, and I'm thinking of the SEALs who support Gallagher, or who says support him, and a whole bunch of others who think that should not have happened.
And I think that's also one of the most harmful long-term effects that you have, is that good order and discipline, rules of engagement, the chain of command, both up and down, also exist to unify us. And when the military becomes politicized, nothing good can come of it for long-term health of the military.
The military today, I think, unfortunately at the senior levels, has become more politicized than it's ever been in our history. And I think at the end of the day, those troops on the ground, those sailors out on those ships, they want to know that the chain of command has their back.
The divisiveness that we've seen, people taking sides now, more politicization of the military, and I'd say it's gone way down in the ranks. It's beyond senior officers when you have, again, troops showing up at events with the president with MAGA hats. Commander-in-Chief holds events for troops, but they're not supposed to be partisan events. And I think the force now wonders, and we see the divisiveness that's happening because of these things. Now we've seen the Navy Secretary fired over it. This president has often talked about how much he admires the military, how much he has done for the military. It's all about the strength of the military, and I'd ask what these pardons have done to further that goal. Rather than making the military stronger, I think he's weakened the military in these ways.
Our thanks to all three veterans.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.